Hey, Jason. Jason, you there?
I'm here, Ralph. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Glad you could make it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for facilitating a wonderful forum last week.
Thanks.
That's right. It was exactly a week ago because I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking last week was the match meeting. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not possible. He's busy. He's busy doing something entirely different tonight.
Yeah,
I realized that
that was a different kind of busy.
he was a different kind of busy for sure.
Yeah. Hi, Kenzie. And I think we have a guest on here, Anna.
Hi, yeah.
I'd gotten a note from Becca saying you were on the board the first year, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was right in the beginning. I was the secretary for a while and helped get all the things organized a little bit, at least, hopefully.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because I know the terms were staggered. You just had a 1 year term to start, or because
Yep. It was one of the short ones because there were all the different lengths of terms.
Mhm.
But I no longer live in Manitou. I just kind of was thinking that my community that I live in now could use a program like the MACH program, and I wanted to see what y'all were up to, and just thought I would eavesdrop on a meeting.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on crunch time here with the
Yeah.
starting for grant applications, and so we've got a little bit of cleanup work to do from something that we thought was a good idea that maybe wasn't such a good idea, but sometimes you just have to admit your mistakes.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
But please just consider me an observer, just a friendly, old timer saying hello. So,
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
I guess I was the only one. I'm the only one who's around still that was there for.
Oh, Jason,
tenure.
yes. Hi, Jason.
Yeah, she was fantastic. So we
Oh,
it was
thank
a
you.
bummer when I think you had to you moved before your term was up, right? So we lost you a little prematurely.
Maybe that
you
was
were wonderful while we had you.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Well, we're still waiting for Becca and probably Amanda here, but hey Marcus, hey Eli.
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. We will. Okay.
Is Neil going to zoom in from New Zealand?
I don't believe so. I think this was one that Neil was going to miss.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I haven't had much dealing with people down under online. I don't know if it would be any harder or easier or whatever, but anyway,
What was it, a 12-hour time difference, which would put it about 5 a.m. there? I don't know if it's exactly the other side of the world, but it's got to be close, right?
at least 10, I think.
Yeah, I think it might be
Yeah, so-
15.
Oh, really?
It depends on whether you're counting backward or forward.
Correct. Yeah, wouldn't 15 be the same as 8?
As 9, I gotta add up to 24.
You're right, thanks.
24 hours in a day. Sure, I want to make sure we have Becca on before we get going. Did everybody get the ad for the agenda packet, the extra attachment that I sent along about updated guidelines?
I did, yes.
Yep, I got it too.
Okay. Oh, we've got everybody I know of who's going, because Nancy Wilson said she couldn't make it, and Neil's on the other side of the world. So, hi, Ren. So let's hang on here for Becca, because I don't want to start without her.
So does that mean I'll be voting in Neil's place then? since
Yes, you'll
Nancy's not on?
be. Yeah, you can pretend to be Neil tonight.
Howdy ho.
Which is good because it gives us 7 votes. And I don't have my phone right in front of me, or I would try to text Becca.
Becca Davis, my boss?
Yeah.
I will call her 1 sec.
Okay. Because if she wants us to go ahead, we can, but I just would rather.
Okay, we will go ahead and start. Thank you, Becca.
Is she joining us soon?
Okay. She's on her way, but she said that we could start.
Okay, very good. Well, it is 5:02 p.m., so we're only 2 minutes late. So we'll come to order. And without Becca, you want to call the roll? Or do you want me to? I can do it.
If you could, that would be nice.
I will be
Ralph.
happy to. Ralph Roughton, I'm here. Neil Minch is excused, absent. Kinsey Watts.
Here.
Marcus Medina.
Present.
Ren Almitra.
Here.
Eli Blackshear.
Here.
Jason Wells
Here.
is here, and Nancy Wilson couldn't make it, so we're good. You got the agenda in the mail. Any questions or need for revision on the agenda? If not, motion to approve
So move.
from Kinsey, second. Anybody?
I'll second it.
Heck, Marcus, all in favor, signify. Any opposed? Okay. Minutes from the last meeting, September 28th, were in your packet. Any questions or need to revise on the minutes?
I wasn't present, but I noticed that I was identified as an alternate and Nancy wasn't. So I don't know if we want to make that little tweak, Amanda.
Okay. Yeah, her status change doesn't seem, sometimes it comes out right on our communication and sometimes not, but I'll follow up. But good point. So
Oh, and I
Jason,
noticed I noticed under training sessions there was reference to a love class. I'm guessing that was cleaner and more professional than taping a love class, a live class. I believe that's probably
yeah, I believe that would be
as fun as a love class would be. But
okay. Well, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes with a couple of small corrections?
I signed up for the love class.
Okay, then you want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second. I actually, huh? Jason can't vote because he wasn't at the meeting.
I second the motion.
Hey, Eli, good. All in favor of the approving the minutes signify, or
Aye.
any
Aye.
opposed? Good, okay. We do have a guest tonight. Anna, do you want to quickly introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are, and then we'll go from there?
Sure thing. Former Manitou resident, former member, was the secretary for a brief time. And just wanted to kind of hop on and see what y'all are up to. And if you have a collection of past projects that you were really excited to see, like on the website, send me a link or something, or include it in the minutes and I'll take a look. I'm just really excited to see what you're up to and be an observer. That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll try not to slow you down is my whole thing because I know you're busy.
Reports, we don't have Becca, and I don't, we'll give her a chance when she joins, depending on where we are. Let's go ahead then and move into business. And the first thing I have here under business is consider reversing earlier decision on multiple projects combined into one application per organization or organizer. Our intent was good on this, trying to simplify things for us as well as for applicants, by having people combine everything. What, you know, like if an organization has 3 or 4 projects, that they only have one application instead of one per project. But that has hit a snag in implementation on the website. Kinsey, do you mind speaking to that briefly?
Sure. I feel like this was first mentioned when Becca and I were going through the updates and she was getting ready to make the tutorial videos. And
That was Becca Sickbert.
Sickbert, yeah. And the first concern that really highlighted the issues and had me start thinking about the fallout of this decision was the separation of the budget. The budget is already the most complicated part of the application, and Becca has definitely mentioned that it's a part that a lot of applicants struggle with. So trying to find a way to like categorize line items or something within that seemed like not the right move forward for keeping things clean. And that led to some other thoughts that came up. One of the next ones I thought of was how kind of complicated partial funding was this year and how we decided which bits to fund, and, you know, applying some sort of smaller fraction of the amount to be the actual amount that they get. And I think if we open it up to say, hey, lump 6 projects on one application, that's just going to be more and more common for us. And we're going to have to find ways to communicate that feedback and which pieces we decided we did want to fund. and sort of seems like with the website, having multiple is really simpler. Even we can do a search in that table for project names or for people and have it kind of just shrink down and show us everything. So, and then the big main one that really made me think I should bring it up was the project completion reports, which include, you know, a lot of very specific questions for numbers, you know, of attendance and how well it was received. And if we start lumping multiple projects in one, we would only have one project completion report for the one, which would make all of the, you know, all of the averages kind of meaningless, I feel like, for us. So just throwing that out there as a plea to maybe keep it one project per, or one application per project. Does anyone else have thoughts to share?
And what I thought we would do is a little bit out of line from what we might normally approach it, of get a motion on the floor and then talk about it. I think we should talk about it and then see what kind of emotion might come from it. So if anybody else has any thoughts on this, but Kinsey and I have communicated, and I feel the same way. I was very strong in wanting to try to do something to simplify this process especially for the board when we go through and evaluate everybody and try to get to the bottom line. But it just doesn't look like we hit on the right solution. But open to any other input. Anybody? Ren?
I'm trying to recollect exactly what the motivation was for the consolidation. I thought it was to simplify it. I think part of it was to simplify a bit on our end, so that we weren't feeling scattered among kind of many applications with one applicant, and trying to provide some equity. But I totally get how that could ran into a wall functionality wise, and I'm just wondering if we can achieve the same goal policy wise, despite the inability to do it this way, and just kind of still provide some equity where we're not, you know, overfunding one applicant somehow. And I think we also desired to kind of drive some internal communication, particularly at the school, so that everyone knew what the other hand was doing, so to speak. And I'm just wondering if there's some way to,
Yeah, just for background,
speak to that.
One of the influences on this was the Manitou Elementary School, which had 9 applications for different events through the course of the year, and then when we tried to get them to prioritize them in some way, they said, "Oh, please, you all prioritize them for us." So, and it was sort of like, that's not why we're here. But that was one of them. I mean, the Creative Alliance definitely has Art on the Avenue and some other projects, but it was, you know, none that were not so much in the way of let's just throw together all the events we're doing the entire year, as the grade school did, and put them on there. The middle school had like 2 or 3, and so those were the main influences. But it was really, as my recollection of the earlier conversation, it was more about trying to reduce the number of grant requests that we consider, and maybe we're just gonna have to deal with that, you know, because we're not. It's pretty clear that we've hit a problem here in trying to make this work, and if we can't fit a square peg into a round hole, then maybe we need to think again. Hi, Becca.
Hey, I'm on my phone. I'm having all sorts of issues and I can barely hear. I think I'm gonna try getting on my business phone and seeing if that one works. Okay, I'm gonna hang up on this one. Can't hear.
Okay, we're doing fine.
Okay,
But we'll be glad when you come back.
okay. So leave meeting.
I'm wondering if there's anything that could still help us out. I don't know what it would be when
I-
you get multiple in from.
Sure, I hear you, and I feel the same thing because it was so overwhelming to have 69 grant applications for far more than what we could give, you know. So how do you start weeding those down? Well, maybe we start by weeding down the number of grants that we would have to consider. Well, maybe a better way, which has come up from time to time, but maybe we really need to be good about this in the months ahead, is having little subgroups of us, you know, maybe several groups of two, to give a first read on a number of the grants and see if there are any problems or something like this. Something that, you know, make sure that there is good attention being paid to all of them instead of everybody trying to read every single grant. And you see what I'm saying? And we could, I feel like, probably separate, you know, like some of the arts events from the education related events to some of the, you know, like public art and murals. You know, there's several ways to divvy up and have two people, because we can't have more than two in a subgroup because of the meeting restrictions and the, you know, state law. But it feels like that might be a way to go, but not necessarily as part of a motion or an action here, but just something that we would, as we get closer to January and the deadline, because this would all be post application deadline at this point of how we respond.
I could
Bob?
So we're
easily
all
add
set.
to a
Good.
filter.
I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say I could easily add a filter to that homepage table of applications, so we could assign project categories between us and then filter to just that project category to make the ease of going through applications, you know, as up there as possible.
Yeah, this would be like in that first week in particular, I would think, week to 2 weeks max of trying to get a handle on whether there are any problems and prioritizing which ones are the best applications, the best events, the best ideas out there, and which ones might need to be cast aside, or, you know, or might wind up being scaled back.
I like that, Ralph. I think, and it could be the open meetings element of it could be handled through subcommittee meetings.
Yeah.
I like the idea of putting them into their respective buckets. And, you know, and that way you've got, and it's shorter meetings, quite honestly, for all of us. It might be more of them, but we're not, you know, it's not this big, laborious, drawn out process. I like the idea of doing that. I don't know if that gets to the heart of what we're talking about, though. I was thinking with this, recollecting a little bit better, for me, it wasn't so much, oh, we don't want one applicant. I mean, the school is a much larger organization than, say, Concrete Couch. So I think it stands to reason that we would invite more applications from a larger organization, and they might have some great ideas, and their projects, their 8 projects might be better than, you know, a handful of individual ones. And I think they should be treated, you know, with just as much weight, even if they're coming from the same applicant. For me, it was difficulty knowing where in this case, the school organizational leadership stood on their priorities. So I'm wondering if we couldn't, every organization, in the case of the school, if we just use the school as an example, but assume the same approach to every applicant, if they have more than one, why not ask for some means of prioritization from their leadership? I guess in the case of the school, we'd maybe want to individualize the middle school and the high school and the elementary school. So it would be the principal, whether if it's nonprofits without a staff, or either board of directors, or if it's a nonprofit with staff, or executive director. I'm just wondering for any applicant that's going to submit multiple distinct applications if we wouldn't just ask them to prioritize them somehow. I'd hate to have a chilling effect on, you know, just one organ, particularly the school submitting multiple applications. For me, it was just, oh wow, there's, you know, we've got all these applications from the elementary school. What, you know, what does their leadership think of these? You know, there was no way to know that when we were going through it.
The middle school had like, I think 3 separate applications. It might have been just 2 this year, but I remember that they had like a STEM fair, which was, you know, a really neat event, and had a lot going for it. I'm having trouble remembering the other one, but it seems like maybe it was a summer activity of some kind. But what we can't really do though, Jason, I don't think, is prolong this agony, because we're already, the grant window has opened, and the website, you know, you could go on the website right now and fill out an application, right, Kinsey? The mechanism is there, and it's well set up, and it's been refined. You know, we've got some specifics that will come up later with Ren that I want to, you know, we kind of need to get to a point tonight where we all know what's going to be online, and we've got it going online as fast as possible. And then we, you know, if we need to do some other little things internally, like the subcommittees and stuff like that, we'll still have time to do that. That's part of our process of evaluating, assessing, and then making our decisions on the back end. But I feel like we've got to get something out there for people of making sure that the word is clear of any changes they need to be aware of.
I feel like I don't have I feel like we need to decide to either just revert back to the system we've had, especially knowing the guidelines have been out for at least a few days. It seems to me like if we're trying to come up with a new system, it feels like it has to be just very clear cut, like we will only accept 1 application per entity, and just like, or maybe 2 or something, you know. But like that's very, you know, most funders only allow 1 application per entity. I don't think that feels comfortable for us, because we know there's a greater need from entities like the schools or Concrete Couch for multiple events. And we've, I think, historically, you know, always considered them and funded a few from a lot of entities. So I think that discomfort is also one of the reasons that led to that combining. Like you said, Ralph, we were really trying to be considerate. But I think like the harder choice is just, do we just restrict it? And if we're not going to restrict it to 1 or maybe 2, then I think for ease, and like you said, Ralph, for timing, we might just need to revert back to where we were and keep evaluating this. I agree. I mentioned this to Kinsey recently too. Like I know it needs to be easy for us, but it really needs to be as easy and clear for the applicants to apply. And so however we can kind of best serve them. So I don't know if I'm adding much to this conversation, but that's just, I think we need to just kind of be cut and dry, like just revert back for now, or limit and decide what we're limiting to. And I feel like, to Jason's point, I hear you, but I feel like if they're submitting multiple applications, it's because they feel like they're all priorities. And it just feels like that is why they're like that prioritization is already happening for them because they are applying. So that's all I have really to offer. I don't have much else.
Okay.
I think it makes sense to revert. I guess the only question I would have would be, what if it's multiple applications for the same event? Like like Indigenous Day? Did we have, are we gonna change that at all, or was that?
Okay, the guidelines, the proposed revised guidelines, which came out as the addendum, to your packet. That still, if you have access and can look at it, it does address the multiple applications from the same applicant, which that could go away, but there are other things. There's some wording issues, as well as the idea of multiple applications from different groups for the same project, in particular Indigenous Peoples Day, that we ran into this past year. Well, really the last 2 years, I guess, but it was totally sticky last year, and for a big community event. So like the language that's in there about that, I still feel like we need to make a change there. And there was the issue of the paragraph about primary beneficiary of match funding versus project beneficiary. So that's another item, but we'll get to that next. I think what we need to do is make a decision of where we are right now on this one thing, the multiple projects combined into one application, or just going back to where we were, and maybe get a motion on that, and then we'll go straight into the website revisions with Ren for the follow-up to that. Is this making sense?
I'll make a motion then to reverse to the previous method that we had on multiple projects.
I'll second that. I think it's kind of, obvious that's what needs to be done, but I still think maybe in future cycles it would be good to hear from their leadership. I'd like to put a pin in that concept for subsequent cycles, or even potentially a friendly request for this cycle. I get Kinsey, or is it Ren, that the point about all of them having priorities, but if they're coming from different teachers, of course, each teacher is going to have their project's going to be their priority. I'd really like to hear from whether it's school leadership or board leadership or whatever, if they've got multiple applications. I'm curious whatever other people's sense of that is. I think we can revert back and still hold on to that concept and discuss it, but to me that was the really important lacking thing, was
right.
Just knowing what the organization felt like about these multiple applications. I think we could draw that out relatively easily.
Okay, so
what other people think. Okay,
we have a motion and a second to revert to our policy of in past years of accepting one application per project. Any further discussion before we vote? Then let's vote. All in favor of the motions, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That was 7-0. Great, good. Okay, I think we're clearer on that, Kinsey. Okay, then next we have the review of website revisions. Need to approve new application guidelines. This has nothing has been replaced or revised yet on the website. So this is something that realistically, I'm sorry we didn't get this done sooner, but we've talked around it, and we've talked over we've had some tough conversations on some of these issues, but now we're talking about the addendum to your meeting packet, which it's a Word document. Ren, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to talk to this real quickly, and then we'll see if we can get this to conclusion?
Yeah, so just to clarify, what you have is copied from the actual guidelines on the website. So what we've been talking about over the summer definitely includes some of the things that are on the guidelines on the website, but it wasn't, our conversation didn't cover all the things that were on the guidelines on the website. So the idea was to look at those and update them with the parts that we had never discussed, and also obviously adding in the kind of new guidelines, revised guidelines we created this summer. So I think there's some, I found some things, there's obviously some minor like grammar, sentence structure things that I can update with Kinsey, but there are some bigger question marks here that I feel like should be board decided. So you see my notes, obviously those aren't going to be like comprehensive. Everyone's going to probably have other things they would have seen if we had more time to review, but these are the things that I pulled out that I think need to be updated.
Ren, do you have that up where you could share it?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And let me know, because I tend to go fast or talk fast, let me know if I need to slow down. One moment here. Okay, so again, this is copy and pasted from our guidelines. So when people are looking to understand what kind of our rules are, this is on the MACH website, this is what they'll see. So Ralph, do you just want me to kind of go through one by one, or have people already reviewed it and want to chime in on certain parts?
I have a feeling that some people have had a chance to look at it. They only got it today. So I don't want to chastise anybody if they haven't had a chance to look at it. I would think we could just wade through and I've got a few thoughts already on several of them myself, but I think we can get through this. It's not going to take a huge chunk of time.
Okay, is that all right? Well, if anybody has other thoughts, chime in, but we'll just kind of go through, and I've got a dog with the dog toy. Hey, little leave it. Okay. So the first question I had in this first paragraph is, do we want to encourage people to reach out with any questions? And if so, who would they reach out to? I don't know if we've had a process like that in the past. So just wanted to ask, and Ralph, I guess that might be a you question.
Yeah, my thought was we could put the MACH board's email address and any application, or I'm sorry, any question that would come in response to this could come to the MACH email address, and then we'd all get it.
We'd all get it. Okay. All right.
That sound okay?
Sounds good to me.
How are those going to be responded to? Just roll that on the front end.
I'll just say that, I'll be looking at it, and I will, if there are any if there's any need to involve others, then I'll follow up, but I'll be the lead on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I think next I had our just again some addition, like it was criteria, I put funding criteria, et cetera, just little things. Just emphasizing here that City Council has the final approval authority. Just want to make that as clear as possible, because I know that we've bumped into people treating us as though that's not the case, at least, even if they know that is the case. So I didn't know, we don't have anywhere in our guidelines that actually talks about our mini grants. We have no small section on it whatsoever. And I know that we have very few, guidelines, and the application is very simple, but it feels like there should at least be a distinction included in here somewhere. But wanted other thoughts on that.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I think the most we get is a couple other places in the application that mention just in like a one sentence sort of way that if it's less than 750, it's easier and you don't have to do a budget, but having it called out makes sense. Although wouldn't the eligibility requirements still kind of apply regardless? Competitive, the regular grants and mini grants for this section?
I think there are, let's see. Yeah, unless it's like obviously an infrastructure project has a different section down here, but I think everything else would apply. So we could put competitive and
Many.
mini grants. Um,
Yeah,
okay.
Or it could just be for the grant process and have it be both.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's not a bad idea to tease them out since we do have two different ones. It just makes it a little
A little more
and
sensitive.
where we can reduce question marks. Yeah. So,
It distinguishes the criteria from tier 1 also.
that's true. Yeah. Okay. And then I might kind of still look through this and see if we still need like, by the way, we do have two different tiers of, well, three different tiers, but two different tiers of funding through this process. Down here, I did add that language we had agreed upon in 2 meetings ago, an August meeting, that if I have it correct, that all funded projects will take place within Manitou Springs city limits. Applications from schools within the Manitou Springs School District that are outside of our city limits are eligible. Does that seem right?
yes, to me, that basically, that applies mostly to the Ute Pass Elementary School.
Okay.
But it's part of the school district. What, you know, and what has happened is that sometimes you get an event that's several schools working together, like the 2 elementaries or whatever. So that's more likely where it would come into play, or
Okay.
multiple performances.
Okay. Any other comments on that? So the next one, I don't know if trying to remember if we got any infrastructure projects, but we have this bullet point here that says they have to be able to match the funds requested. And again, I don't recall having any applications, so I don't think this came up, but I think we need more clarity on what that means. If it's 1-for-1 match, or if that's still a requirement.
I flinch a little at this being a requirement, because I mean, I think my feeling is that it was more about not counting on match to be their sole source of revenue, but not necessarily all the way to having them be able to have equal funds. I'm hesitating using the word match because I don't want to overuse match, but being able to have other sources of revenue, which is definitely vague, but I think that's the point we're trying to make, more than reaching a certain bar of a level of, you know, having as many funds available as you're requesting for.
Yeah, I hear you, and I agree. I think we could either just, I would be very surprised if somebody's doing a capital improvement plan and is trying to ask for all their funds from match. But if you think that's a possibility, I think it's okay to change the language to say something, you know, we encourage or will be looking for other sources of income for that project.
Right.
Okay. Would that be your
Just to
preference?
clarify-
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
These are additional requirements for infrastructure, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would put the word also after applicant. I would have it read, applicant must also meet the following criteria. So it's not,
Okay.
not potentially read as alternate criteria. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So Ralph, your preference is still to have something saying that we will be looking to, however you said it, however I said it.
Have okay, meet all the firms. Have additional sources of revenue in addition to the match, or besides the match grant.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. I think that was just some language cleanup. Yeah, that's all just kind of language cleanup and reflecting what we did. So the new for 2024, these are the sections that we kind of, have been working on over the past several months. I know that we need to now change the multiple application section. So we'll do that. Actually, we'll take it out. Yeah. And then Ralph, you said you wanted to review the language we had for multiple applications for the same project or same event.
No, I just wanted to be sure it was still in there.
Okay.
That was one of the main reasons for us doing this, because we still have other changes that are being made that are for the better. The multiple applications for the same project being at the top of the list.
Okay. Yep. And so that one's right at the top here. But you're saying we don't need to review this at all because we've already approved it.
That's my thought, but
okay.
Now is the time, because we're going to, in a minute here, have a motion to approve. So if anybody has any thoughts or a problem with this, even though it has come up. Okay.
Yeah.
Later on, what have we got?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I feel like I was still struggling to make sure I was capturing this correctly. I know this one was a more difficult language.
This was, was it more from Neil on this one?
This one is, I think, well, Jason and I worked on.
Jason had something, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Involved too. Jason, are you okay with this wording?
Yeah, it's really a difficult one to capture linguistically. It's kind of a spirit thing, but I think it's for a challenging thing to capture. I think it's worded okay now. I know we spent a lot of time on it, but yeah. I remember struggling with it too.
Right. But also in the parentheses underneath, the applicants must be submitted by the entity that will be the primary beneficiary.
Yeah, that should be kind of clear, right?
Well, it wasn't before, because that's why we're
right. But we didn't have this language initially.
Yeah.
So, and I think this was alternate language, the second paragraph, that's why it's in parentheses. So you're saying that first sentence at least should be included. If the rest, I haven't actually looked it over fully just now. If it's redundant or not would be my only concern.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't mind me too.
Yeah, I'm not sure we need the second.
Okay, just leave the first only.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Is that what you were saying, Kinsey, as well?
That works for me.
Okay. Okay. Let's see what this note is referring to. I think we can ignore my comment. Funders never give that kind of guidance, and I don't even know how we would do that. My only concern here, so again, this is your project is, requesting a reasonable amount of funding. My only concern is that we've definitely gotten concerned with certain rates of pay for folks. And so I just, if we keep getting that, is it worth at some point giving some guidance on what we see, a range of, and I shouldn't say funders never do. Some funders do, especially around pay, they recommend a certain range of pay to consider, but that's mainly what that was inspired by.
I don't think we're quite to the point of getting that specific.
Okay.
But I like the way you've got it worded there.
Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna say negatory on that. We can include the link, Kinsey, for the plan Manitou pretty easily, I would think, right?
We used to have links to the plan Manitou. I think the document itself or some way of previewing it, and recently our testers found that they were going to broken pages. So I don't know if that's like hosted by whoever designed the PDF for Manitou. I've recently went in and changed it to just if you search for Plan Manitou on the city website, there's like a page for it. And from that page, you can download a PDF. And that is the current state of what we have. I don't know if I can anchor to a specific page within it, but I could research it.
Okay.
If
Okay.
it's not, if it's something that can be settled quickly and easily, sure. Otherwise, I mean, what you've got, Kinsey, I think, we can just say, go to the city website, or, just tell them where it is. Instead
Yeah.
of a link.
I think making it as easy as possible for them to refer to, especially if we're asking them to reference it in their application, will be really helpful. I found that I kept finding having a hard time finding it, or keep returning to it at least. That's probably just me. So, all right. Again, just some language cleanup here. I think I will just maybe make a quick, I'll just put it in parentheses, the difference between, or what general operating funds refer to, because a lot of people don't know that term. So that was just my question mark there, if we should distinguish between project versus general. And I can just, again, put that in parentheses. Sorry, am I going too fast or?
No.
Okay. I don't know if I'm getting too much in the weeds here. So for your project description, if you've conducted a similar project in the past, please include a summary of the cost and revenue, number of people impacted, etc. I don't know if we mean like a match funded project, or just at any point, anywhere. And do we need them to include it if we probably have a report? I don't know if this feels redundant, or if it's fine just to leave.
I like what you have here, because it's kind of opens the way for people who've had an event or a project, and now they want to try to get match funding for it. So tell us how it worked, that we don't have any problem with hearing how you put it together before.
Okay, and this, just to clarify, this was already in the guidelines. I'm wondering if it's a match, if it was a match funded project, I feel like we're a little vague, then we should already have that info, or do we still want them to let us know either way, regardless if it was match funded or not?
I
I
wonder
would
if
say
it's come up in their describing of it. And we also have the new toggle now that allows them to say if it's that project has been funded before. So if it doesn't come up, we'll have some way of maybe still inferring it potentially.
All right, okay, yeah, I might be just getting in the weeds. I think someone else was going to say something on that.
I was, but it sounds all covered. Never mind.
Okay.
This one I've been kind of struggling with. So we don't allocate funds based on discipline. I don't know. I don't think this is actually probably going to be a tonight thing. This is going to have to be like a next year thing. It's something I'd hoped we would talk about more this year, and maybe we did, and I'm forgetting. We have, like, both in our rubric and then on our website and in the application, we have these like different kind of quote unquote discipline categories, but they're all three of those places are different. And we, Ralph, earlier, I know you were talking about like these mini committees that could kind of, I think mainly just logistics, like process, not necessarily that we're actually funding based on discipline, because I've heard Neil say a few times that we don't allocate funds based on discipline.
Correct.
Okay, so I think we should just leave this, but I do want to understand why it's different in our rubric versus here, and like how we use them and why we have them split up differently in different places. And again, that may not be a tonight thing. If this still feels accurate that we're not going to fund based on discipline, then we can leave it. I just found it confusing.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. And honestly, I feel like in the future that still might be a way to help us decide our funding allocation, is having a balance between the disciplines. But again, another conversation for another day. Okay, so this is cleaning up stuff. I don't think there's anything here that I actually needed input on. I think, again, just clarifying. Okay, I put this note in, Becca, note if you're, I think Becca's still on, if you're using a fiscal sponsor, the check will be issued to the sponsor and you'll need to coordinate with that entity to receive your funding. That wasn't in here, so I just wanted to make sure that was really clear. I feel like that's articulated really well anyway. Okay, this was one I don't recall. We have in here that they need to submit a letter of acceptance from the venue they'll be using. If it's a, maybe it doesn't even specify if it's a Manitou venue. Well, you know, so I'm wondering, obviously it would be, I guess, but thoughts about this?
This has been something that I can recall in past years discussion that it's a weakness in an application if you can't even say where your event will be. And the feeling that it was essential to know know your venue before you ask for money for it. That's my memory of how this led up to where we are now.
Okay. We didn't get any of these though last year that I recall, and it didn't seem like something we really considered. So do we want to keep this as a requirement or not?
And also, if they don't get the funding, then does that mean they don't have the event, but yet now they already have the venue reserved?
Yeah, I think, we say, please confirm that you've obtained permission. I think if, we have that language in there and ask them to really let us know for sure. I personally don't think we
I
need
don't think we need the letter. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else feel strongly about that? And I think Marcus, that's just something, yeah, they'll have to figure out with the venue, and hopefully that's a discussion they have when they're kind of vetting that conversation anyway. I took out resume, CV work samples because we decided we didn't need them. I believe that's right. I realize I have a note in here wondering if that's the case, but I think that's the case, right? We decided we don't need them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, I wanted to get your all thoughts on this. So we say failure to abide by the guidelines and instructions will result in you being ineligible to apply for for the next 2 years for grant cycles. And I personally am boo to that, but I'm curious what the history is there and why that was the decision made.
Not so sure.
Well, what if they took the money and didn't do what they said they were gonna do, did nothing, then they shouldn't, I could see why there should be some sort of well, you can't just reapply it again next year, although, they can't reapply without the completion report either, right?
That's true.
Well, and this is just saying failure to abide by the guidelines and instructions. And I feel like grants aren't everyone's strong suit. They might miss something. That just feels a little harsh. We do say failure to meet your contractual obligations could be ... You could be in trouble with the city attorney. So I feel like that's covered. It's more this if you didn't apply in the way we asked you to is kind of how that sounds to me. And it just sounds harsh.
2 years feels like a long time as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to penalize people for, maybe missing something on instructions. I think I'm trying to think of an example where it'd just be oh my gosh, I can't believe they did, I don't know, or if they're being aggressive or something. I don't know. I just don't see the need for it.
Yeah, something like that. I would not see it 2 years. It's got to be they just didn't do what they said they were going to do, period.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in terms of something like you would be ineligible for further match grants until rectifying the problem or something along that line. Or the discrepancy or whatever.
Yeah, if they get it corrected.
That would still be in this failure to meet your contractual obligations though, right? Yeah. Not in the actual, yeah. Okay.
But then we don't tie ourselves to a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
We can if we say something like until resolving the
Yeah, we can get more creative with our punishments then.
yeah,
Okay, so
There's going to be certain failures that are unrectifiable, right? That doesn't go on, and there could be something they're not able to just. Does that mean they're prohibited in perpetuity from applying ever again if it's not something they can ever actually accomplish? They didn't accomplish it within their originally conceived timeline, and they can't just do it again. Does that mean they're just banned for life, or you know what I mean?
It seems like the wording is just there to give the board leg room to, if we needed to say, well, we're not going to consider this application, and this is where we were able to make that decision. But I agree with you, Ren, that whole second sentence kind of covers that well enough that perhaps we could remove the first one up until where you've been highlighting to.
Okay.
Potentially.
Yeah. We could also just say something like could result in your organization being ineligible for future match funds until like
I like that a lot.
Okay. Okay. Until resolved, and I can wordsmith that a little bit. Does that seem okay?
great.
Okay, under the reporting, I'm sorry. Okay, Kenzie, maybe this is one you and I can figure out. I just want to clarify like where the report is, and I'm sure, I don't know if that's like clear right away when they log in, like because the report is going to be available on the website as well, or is that something we always email out?
It's part of the website, and it shows up front and center on the table of their applications. If an application is funded, and it has that funded status, then they have a button right next to it that says completion report. And when they open that, it pops up the form. And we have had, I want to say, like 8 people finish so far this year already using the website form.
Okay. Okay. I can wordsmith that a little bit, but I just want to make that clear where that's going to be. Okay, cool. Okay, I don't know where this is referring to. Kenzie, maybe you know, this match recognition. This
comes to sort of the logo, and hoping that anytime people, if they put on an event, for example, that they would include the match logo and recognition that the event was funded or partially funded by match.
Yep, and I just mean the second sentence, please refer to the match homepage for guidance on publicizing your grant award and recognizing match as a funder. I don't know where we have that guidance.
I believe that's the city match page, so not something that's part of our match owned website.
Okay. I think we could include a hyperlink there. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you. Okay, I think we're almost done. Thank you all for your patience. I think again, I was just cleaning things up based on past conversations. And then I'll make sure, because we have kind of 2 different sections on the guidelines page. So I'll make sure that everything's reflected. Or yeah, there's a what is match about page 2. I want to make sure everything is the same. And I think that's it.
Cool.
Ralph, did we cover the things you had in mind?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we're good. We're good.
Great. Thank you. That makes me feel a lot better knowing that we can get those updated on the website, knowing that the application is live and all that.
I think it would be appropriate to get a motion to approve these guidelines as revised, with also saying that, you know, they'll be finalized in the next few days, and to get to Kenzie so that we can get them on the webpage.
I'll motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Right? Any further discussion? Kinsey, are you okay?
Mhm.
All right. If there's no more discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That would be 7-0. Good. Great. Thank you, Ren. And my apologies for a little bit of confusion and mishandling of this that could have been done a little bit sooner. But then again, we've just in recent weeks come upon the problem about the multiple application and multiple grants issues. So I'm glad we've gotten those all settled tonight. Next on the agenda, check 2024 application process calendar, which we approved at the last meeting. Anybody see any need for revision? The only thing I know of is that the videos are not up yet, and we'll get into that shortly here with the next agenda item. But I don't see any problem here. Okay. Next, one other thing I will mention on that is that we still don't have a date or a plan for a town hall session, and I've had a little bit of communication also with Becca Sickbird about this, and there was some questions about when she would be available. And I can only tell you that I'll be continuing those conversations, and hopefully we will have something set up sometime between probably the 1st of November and early December. But you know, City Hall or Memorial Hall is being used for election purposes all the way through and after the election. So that was a big factor there, and that not being available. And probably our priority at this point is going to be getting everything onto the website that needs to be on the website, and also getting the videos going. So I think the calendar's okay. All right. Item 4, update on training videos by Becca Sickbird. Release forthcoming. I know that Becca talked with Kinsey, right, about some, because she had some frustrations and was having trouble explaining things and needed the action that we have taken tonight to be able to know what she was dealing with to wrap up the videos. I can tell you all from having communicated with her that she feels good about having a lot better technology at her disposal, and should be a much better quality video and also better quality audio. This won't be like a video of a session that she is giving to an audience. It's going to be a video that's intended for whoever calls it up. And I think that's going to improve things considerably. Although we did get views last year, more views than we had people who attended the live sessions, which led to our decision of let's just do it this way this year and see how it works. And I can also tell you that once the videos are up and everything is done, I'm going to be writing something for the bulletin about all of this to you know, get the word out there of what some of the changes are, but also, you know, where they can go to get help. So the videos that, I mean, we approved the expense for that last meeting, so there's no need for action there. But if, while we've got it called up, if anybody has any other questions. She does plan 2 videos, one for mini grants and one for the larger grants. So any other thoughts? Cool. We talked about skipping the November meeting as we've done in the past and having a meeting in early December. Becca, is that okay with the with your calendar?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm not used to using a phone. Yeah, I believe so. So ideally, it would be the second week in December. So it would be, well, actually, wait a minute. Let me think. In the past, it tends to be the second and the fourth Thursdays. So when you have to do an extra one, it's been the second Thursday.
Right.
So I'm thinking it would be the 14th. Does that sound correct to you? Because the first Thursday is the 7th, and then there's the 14th, and then 21 and then 28. So or would you prefer the first Thursday in December? It's not set in stone on that one.
Actually, that first Thursday would still be 2 weeks after Thanksgiving.
Okay, so we're
Seems
looking
like
at,
that might be better if we could do that. How does the group feel about December 7th for the next meeting?
That works for me.
As long as
Good
you
by
guys
me.
sing me happy birthday.
What?
As long as you all sing me happy birthday on the 7th of December.
Oh,
Why would you be on a board meeting on your birthday, Marcus? Yeah.
It probably would still be better for me because we are leaving the 13th. I was going to tell everybody I'm leaving from the 13th of December till the 10th of January
oh,
to go to South America, but I do plan on zooming in, and I still will have access to read all applications and all that.
okay.
So 7th still works for me.
okay, so I'm going to set up the next meeting that y'all will have will be on December 7th, nothing in November. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let me do stars and arrows here.
I'll follow up with you.
Okay, good.
Great. Great. But the other thing that could come into play between now and whenever is if we can get a time and some logistics together on having a public session to show people the that where they can access the video and where they can come and ask us any questions. Not a big, we're not talking about several hundred people. It would be more probably of a drop-in type thing. And we'll still try to figure that out and hopefully get that done. I know that a lot of people have not been early with their applications, so it could be that maybe being after Thanksgiving would be a good idea for having an event like this to kind of jumpstart people into that last month. So I'll be working on that, and we'll see what it leads to. It wouldn't be something that would require like all hands aboard, just several of us, and if we can have Becca Sickbert there, all the better. So fair enough. Great. Well, anything else that's not on the agenda? I do see that we have another guest, one of the match board pioneers. Michael Howell, are you there? Mike? Michael,
Yes, can you hear me?
can't hear you.
Be quiet.
Well, we see that we see your name anyway. So, but welcome back. My first year was his last year on the board, so had a lot to do with setting up the process that exists now. So, welcome. Anything else for the group? Good of the group? If not, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn? I will. We're adjourned at 6:09. Great. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Ralph.
Okay.
All right, all.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye, everybody.
See ya. See ya.
See you, Ralph.
All right.